Welcome, everybody. Welcome. It looks like we have all the girls here. Our special guest, Jazz Low. Of course, we have Miss London. Welcome to LICMC.net Radio Live.
Hi, thank you.
Hello. Hi, Jasmine.
Hey,
Yay. All right, guys. So, our topic is online versus in person. But first, would you guys like to introduce yourselves and let everybody know who you are?
I am Jasmine. I'm a nobody trying to be somebody. And yeah.
Amen.
Just me, London.
Yes, everybody knows London, and it's me, Irene. Your sis, your girl.
You might
All
have
right.
another person joining, Miss Jan. I think Miss Renee might be joining in a little bit later.
Okay, great. So we're in a time where we're because of COVID and all of that it's a situation where even today, even though things have gotten better on some level, it's still a lot to think about, a lot to safeguard yourself from when it comes to COVID. So we're in a time where we could choose to do things online, we could do things in person, but it was one point where just about everything had to be online for our safety purposes. So going through COVID and going through that experience, I want to see what you guys' thoughts were during that time where basically we were basically just forced to do everything online. How are you feeling during that time?
Well, for me, I worked from home maybe for about a year before that, and I didn't like it. And so I was when it first came out, I was a little concerned like everybody else. And my job at the time afforded me the opportunity to go home, and it was a little different this time. Like I wanted to be there,
Right.
and um I found like, since, being in quarantine and going through this for as long as we have, it changes like even some of my habits, like even going to the store or what have you. Like I still don't like to go to the store anymore, even though I can and I can mask up and all that good stuff. Like, I think America has discovered that a lot of the reasons why mothers were told that they couldn't work from home because it was impossible or what have you, just wasn't true. So I think like we're getting more used to it, like being at home and working and Instacarting for our groceries and paying our bills online. I think it's, if anything, it's becoming more integrated into our everyday behaviors.
I totally agree. Yeah, it's opened up a whole new industry, basically, the whole online world, where it's kind of opened up more jobs, but it's kind of eliminated some jobs as well. For me, at first, when I couldn't work anymore due to COVID, I couldn't like go out into the regular workforce anyway. At first, I was like, "This is cool." Like, I didn't want to go there anyway. like, but but after so long, I kind of start getting stir crazy. Trying to
Mhm.
find opportunities, job opportunities online wasn't always easy. It depends on what industry that you're working in and whatnot. So, I kind of
Yeah.
had to reinvent my whole process of work and what that looked like. So it's just kind of like a new setup for me in my life and in my mindset as well. So I like it, but I'm still also like get trying to get used to it because it's just like I didn't realize how much I missed being in the regular scenario where you just go out
Mhm.
every day and do your everyday thing. Even the small things, like you said, you don't like the grocery shop anymore. That's actually one thing that I miss is going to Dollar Tree. I know that's one thing that I miss doing, and sometimes just going out to eat or whatnot. So That's my thoughts on it.
Absolutely. And I feel like even businesses they're adjusting to it because even right now, like during my job search, a lot of businesses are opting for virtual interviews. So basically like you're videotaping yourself on your phone and answering pre-recorded questions from like an interviewer or what have you, like even them just limiting face-to-face contact, even though like a lot of businesses have pulled back on their restrictions for COVID. It seems like some practices are here to stay.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up. Thank you for bringing us into that because everybody doesn't know all the different elements of things like that. So, like you were saying that basically they have pre-taped interviews now where you don't even really have to be face to face to do the interview or
Right.
wow.
Absolutely, you just do it on your phone, like you put your camera up, and I don't like it, but I've noticed that quite a few jobs have have opted to go that route, or companies rather.
Wow. Is Miss Renee you there? Miss Renee?
It looks like she's still trying to get connected. She's not.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
I see her name, but her devices aren't connected yet for some reason.
Oh, okay.
So London, it's to you now. What were you feeling like in the midst of COVID and transitioning from going out all the time because you were always out, a very busy lady, and you're still busy, but how did it feel to transition?
Well, I would say when the first part of it kind of struck and we had to start masking up, I try to stay on my other job as long as possible. Um, until they didn't want to follow the protocols with CDC, especially when it was really, really, really bad. And that's how I transitioned from out of that job to doing what I do now, which is the same thing. It's just my own. And it was kind of scary going up in there. I'm talking about the part when it was kind of scary going into to the job when I knew that the boss and the people there didn't regard what was being said by CDCs. And some people was getting COVID, and they had people coming there talking on the microphones or whatever. Nobody was cleaning it up, which is not unusual. So I had to go in there and scrub everything down, spray everything down. It was kind of really like going into a war zone because I had to, I'm thinking about coming back home. I didn't want to come back home. I didn't want to catch anything, and I didn't want to bring something back home, even if it didn't affect me. I didn't want to, you know, people that have different immune challenges or whatever. I didn't want to bring anything back home. So for me, it was kind of scary. And I mean, I was praying to God about it. I said, told the Lord, I said, well, when it's time for me to go, let me know. Cause I love my job. I'm trying to hold it down. When you used to holding it down like 12 hours on Sunday and so many hours on Saturday, I was the main source of the operation. And plus I just love my job. So it was until a conversation came up where the choice was for me to book, and that's what I did. I said, "Well, God must be wanting me to get out of here." It was just too much going on. Too many people just feeling too free. I remember one guy got on the microphone was talking about he had he just had COVID. That's when it was. I'm telling you, intense. And now you just had COVID. Why are you here on the mic? I'm going like, can y'all put the mic? Can you put like some microphone covers on there? Can you sanitize it? This and that. And so my area, I just had to sanitize it. So after leaving there, I didn't, I kept doing my thing, and I ended up having a better situation of something that I always wanted to do anyway. I guess it was time to go ahead and get my own radio station situation. And I was already doing things online, Facebooking and this and that and YouTubing and live this and live that for some of the people that I was working with. So that just opened up, that just expanded so huge, and it's still expanding. So for me now, I mean, I don't think things are going to change. And the doctor, the doctor on the television said things not going to change. You might as well get used to it. This is the way it's going to be for a while. It's just going to be this way. This is going to be the new normal that we don't really want to be our new normal. So uh, everything we do is contactless for the sake of safety. Plus, for me, it's made my life a lot easier, and I work more now than I did when I was going running out, going working for other people. Yeah, it's 24/7. Between that and all the other things. So um, I have to get used to still going out. I just went to the dentist a couple times, and now, Lord, I didn't even want to go. Sometimes you gotta go because I'm thinking about what's still happening out here, and so you gotta be pray to have your confidence up, be masked up, and so I went to those two. I went twice, but I guarantee you, when I went in there, I had masks on, gloves on, whatever seat I was gonna sit in, I was wiping that down. I don't care who was looking. Everybody had their mask on. But I was just wiping everything down and being prayerful. That's it. So I said, okay, got back home. I was okay. So sometimes you had to kind of inch your way out there after you're not used to being in the public. So it looks like now, y'all tell me when to shut up, okay? It looks like now if you can put your mask on, good mask is the big key. Good mask, the sanitation. If you got to touch on things, maybe if you can't have some gloves and sanitation, it seems like that is very helpful. Well, I guess it took a while to figure it out. What's going to keep us from catching this disease so quickly? You know,
Right.
so I'm ready. I said, look, I'm ready to go. I'm just going to Dollar Tree too. And so I said, I'm ready to take a step out the Dollar Tree, which a lot of people still going. A lot of people still do everything, but I'm just being careful, not just for me, but just for the household. Because if you really get it and somebody can't take it, my thing is if you end up in the hospital, people they don't even let people go visit the family. They may now, but if they want to tell you you can't come in and visit your loved one, then your loved one's sitting there all by themselves, scared and sick and lonely, whatever. So if you can just prevent it, I think the interventions and the preventions are still good with the mask and all that kind of thing. And I mean, they CDCs are not making it demanding people, but they are suggesting and that people when you go in, they said when you're going back go in crowds inside the buildings, wear your mask. If even now the latest I heard was if you're going to a large event outside wear your mask. I said, okay, this thing is something else.
Yeah, it kind of morphs and does different things.
Yeah, the different
That
things.
kind of
So,
threw me with the CDC and the government because they didn't know what was happening, and first they were saying don't wear masks when we had the other president, and then later it's saying okay, you do need to wear a mask, and it was like they was like if you had to make you a makeshift cloth mask, I mean, it was getting crazy. Like they had a commercial, a
right.
PSA, like, "Hey, get a piece of cloth, whatever you have, just put that on
What do
your
you got?
face." And
Cover
I
your
was like,
face up, huh?
"Wow, this is something else." All right, Miss
Yeah.
Renee, we want to go to you, Miss Renee, and we were just asking everybody, like at the peak of everything, where a lot of things were shutting down and going online only. How were you feeling during that time when COVID was at its highest, and how did you like deal with it and try to adjust when basically you had to stay in a lot and a lot of things were online only?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it was awakening, and I know in the Bible God said He was going to shake the world like it's never been shook before. I don't know if this is it, but it has shaken the whole world. You know, it shook us up. So, As far as staying in for protection, when they had a lockdown, I was for that. And it didn't really affect.
Are you still there?
Can you hear me? Hello?
I hear you now. You just took a. I don't know if you were taking a pause or. I can hear you now though.
Oh, what was the last thing you heard?
You said it really didn't affect
Affect
you.
me. Yeah, because I'm like an introvert. I'm a home person, homebody. And but I had to go out because I had an essential one of those what they a household word we learned now, essential job is what they call
Mhm.
it. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
I had to
You were
leave
one of
out.
those. Yeah, you were one of those frontline essential workers that we needed.
Yeah, but I thought the frontliners were the nurses and stuff. But my essential duties were keeping businesses that were open and that were essential to stay open and not shut down to keep them clean. Um, so I had to leave out to do that. But as far as m- missing, missing going being around people, um, I don't know how to say.
I lost you. We lost you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
As far as missing going out, like missing being around people, I don't know how to say this without it sounding so horrible, but I could work in groups. I'm a good group person and getting along with people and teamwork, but I prefer being by myself a lot of time. You know, um, that part didn't affect me, and going out, I kept my distance before the pandemic came. I never liked for anyone to get up close on me, get up close to me. Um, I know when I used to go to church, they like to hug, and that kind of threw me off because I don't mind hugging people when I'm really happy to see them, or something, or relative, but I'm not one of those huggers. And like I said, I always kept my distance anyway. Um, I don't know. I just jailed with it. I rode with it. I kept my mind on God because I knew what was happening. He was in the midst of it. And
Amen. I feel like
what was hard for me was how many people that were dying. Now that's what hit me the hardest.
yes.
That's what hit me the hardest because I'd never been in the plague before, and that was something new to me. So it turned our world around. Um, it's good that I know I had a pastor who told me that we won't be able to go to church anymore. They're going to put padlocks on the door, to keep us out. But maybe this is what they were saying. I don't know about we won't be able to go anymore. Maybe it was this pandemic. I don't know. But a lot of churches have opened up. They're doing a spacing, doing a social distance in the church. But I prefer online or streaming, and I just like being at home.
I like that you brought up the church because what is the church situation for you guys? And I know it could be kind of controversial because a lot of churches were upset that they had to be closed down because it's basically all public areas had to be closed down. So a lot of churches were upset about that, and some were able to roll with it and said, "Well, we'll do stuff online until." So, what is your guys' thoughts on the whole church situation about um going to church and whatnot, and how the churches reacted to COVID?
I
Well,
think people are just guessing. No one knows. So you have to use your own common sense and get with God and do what you think is best, for you, your loved ones, and for others. I see people who don't wear masks. It's like I got mine. But yeah, but what about other people? Cover yourself to protect someone else.
Yeah, I'm not in a regular church situation. We do our online services at this time, but at this time, I don't know what all that was, what somebody was doing. But at this time, I know some churches, the ones that are open, I do feel like, well, okay, if you're open, just do your social distancing and your mask, and don't pack in like a whole lot of people in the services or whatnot. And there's still some churches taking precautions and some are not. So I don't know completely. I can't really say. I haven't interacted with these churches that have not taken precautions, but I know that if I watch different church services, whether it be local or from TV or national, sometimes it looks like it's just a whole lot of people in there and that they're not wearing their masks. So I don't know. I don't know what that's about. I don't think it's safe still to do that. If you do want to go to church and your church is open, I think they should just have accommodations there so that you can be safely spaced out and wear your mask. And that's my thoughts on it.
I
But
agree. Oh, sorry.
go
I wanted
ahead.
to say that since the pandemic, I've been through the church, been to church through the pandemic, and we cut down the amount of times that we meet in person, so we only go to church really on Sundays, and we do online Bible study, and they've had precautions and stuff like that. Um, but
You still there, Jasmine?
oh, can you hear me?
I can hear
Can
you
you hear me?
now.
Oh, I'm sorry. So the Bible says, like, be it done unto you according to your faith. And so I feel like in some places that you just gonna have to use your faith for, because it's people that have worn masks, especially those cloth masks in the beginning, who've got the virus. It's people that have worn, N95s that have got the virus, seemingly doing all the right stuff. And I'm not saying that there aren't things that you can do to mitigate the risk associated with it, you know. But I don't. I guess like for me, you know, as much as I have curbed how much I have done and what I have done for these past 2 and so almost 3 years, I ain't stopped going to church, but I also do feel like churches are in a predicament as well, because I don't feel like any leader is is supposed to put public safety at risk, you know. So I think that if in all things we should do things decently and in order, consult with God, and I do believe in like following guidelines and stuff like that, you know. But I don't think that I think that when the push came to like really start closing the churches down, and I think it really affected more mega churches than anything else, you know,
Hmm.
even down to I think some pastor in Canada went to jail for not closing his doors or having service or something like that. So, I do see how we can feel the pressure of it and kind of want to put our feet in the ground, because I've heard people say, the church is being persecuted, and
Right.
I don't necessarily know if I believe that, because when I think about persecution, I think about like people who have literally died or have lost for the gospel, and I'm not saying that some people haven't, they're not persecuted or anything like that, on some type of level, but like we ain't really seen like the for real persecution of the church, but
Right.
but I
Yeah.
do feel like it's something to be prayerful and watchful for. And work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. You know?
That's right. Because I don't think, like you said, the church should pressure you. Like, if you don't show up, then guys don't. You're not right with God. I mean, at this time, it's a dangerous type of situation. Even though it's better now, like we are saying. Um, I think that they should try to make accommodations for people that just feel like they don't feel that they can return at this time, or they don't feel safe. Um, like you were saying about the church being persecuted as well, I feel like it's not really just the church that's being attacked, it's the whole country, it's all the business industries, it's everybody. So it's not just like the church is being pointed at or pulled out of the situation. It's just the whole, our communities have been attacked by this COVID. It's not just one area in this world that's just it's not just church basically. So I mean, we definitely need God more than ever before during this time, but we
Mhm.
have to really also shows us, and a lot of people are saying this quarantine time, to build that personal relationship with God. Take that a long time, especially in the beginning. Really reassess and assess your life. I mean, we had some time to do that and some time to just, in a way, reconnect with God if we were disconnected. I mean, it's a challenging time, but it was a time where we could reflect, we could work on ourselves, we could connect with God on a deeper level and see, that it's not just about going into the building, but it's about the lifestyle that you lead and who you are and following Christ. So I think that's something that we could take away from what we're going through and what we've been going through is and I think Miss London talked
Oh,
about, the church is you, it's not just the building. So we do have to remember that.
you know, what you said is about what was something you said that well, it'll come to me.
I just like to say, I remember when it's responsibility of the leader, and I like what Jasmine was saying, how that the leaders and the pastors of the church is since they're in charge, for them to do what's don't put people at risk, but also if you can just follow whatever's going on that's going to keep everybody safe if you're going to go have service. And I remember incident, which I'm not going to call any names, but I saw a lot when I was actually working at this other place, and I had to do online service for them. I think he was already doing online anyway. He was on the radio, and they were on it looked like they were on, oh, was it Twitch? There's on Facebook. He had this thing on. It was really good. Kind of like, it's like what we do now. But so he was already doing that before COVID came. And then when COVID came, he really didn't want to stop. And when I saw all these people at the church, what I'm telling you, this is in the very thick of COVID, when it really was telling them to shut things down. What the churches was not supposed to do it at that time. And it wasn't even about social distancing at the time. Just shut it down. He didn't shut it down. And so I kept, going through there watching. Next thing you know, he got sick. I don't know if members of the people got. He finally he finally stopped doing it that way, you know. But I was feel kind of, I said, wow, you know, sometimes you have to just like do what's best for that time. And he literally got sick, and then he was talking about other people getting sick.
Yeah.
And these people was going there, they weren't masking up, they was all together. I'm going, I was watching them, the choirs close and tight together singing, and I'm going, this guy just won't quit. So I think he just kind of felt, you know, God wants us to use common sense, but when the pastor's telling, well, your faith, you ain't gonna catch it. You got to use common sense now. God wants us to be sensible about the situation. And when you're leading people and telling people that, a lot of people do feel that that's the way to go. My faith is
Yeah.
gonna keep me well. I'm not gonna mess up. I'm gonna keep going.
I
And you know,
feel.
next, hmm
Yeah, what Irene was saying is like, I feel it's a time for us to get with God. And when I was busy working, you do your prayers and all that. But when you busy going out, it's less time, unless you're in your car, throughout the day, little this God, little that God, but it's less time than you have if you're at home
hmm
meditating on the word. And I begin to think, after my son had got sick, he had mentioned something, about judgment. Now I'm thinking,
We lost you, dear. Miss Renee, are you still there?
yeah, when I was thinking, like about judgment, you know, are we getting judged now? I'm thinking in my mind, do we stand in line and walk up to him one by one, and get judged? Or is this judgment, we don't really know when our judgment is. Um, but it
That's
really
deep.
is a time for us to get with God, you know, because judgment is upon us. And
Yes.
yeah. We got to get ourselves right. We got to get right with Him.
yeah.
I think
I
we go.
think.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying. I just want to get back to that. At Paris too, he finally started after everybody got sick. And he got sick. Then he would just come online by himself, and then and he still would tell people where the cash app. And I mean, I heard of some apps I never heard of, but because he had a pretty nice following, so everything was going good for him. But at least at that time, that's when he was able to come back to see, to be able to do it, still have service, and still have people was still watching him online. So he still had quite a few people online that was checking in. It's a learning situation though. It's just something that we just have to learn. And for some people, I know uh, that shouldn't have reflect on faith. I think necessarily it is faith about knowing that I don't know my faith is God gonna take care of me, but and I'm gonna say now, but and at the same time, God wants us to do our part too as well. So I believe and trust in God to know that He's gonna take care and bless and keep and heal whatever. But He also at the same time, um, if something is visible in your face, because the Bible does say obey the laws of the land to the point where if the CDC laws are saying, okay, do this, 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 and this, then that means they're telling us to watch out. But it really is our choice what we choose to do. If we choose to, fine. If we don't choose to, fine, whatever. I'm not gonna say it's fine. But I remember like Jasmine said, there's one lady I pulled up to the drive-through one day, and I had my gloves on, my mask on. She said, I feel you. I feel you. She said, I got sick and I was doing all of that. She said she had on her mask, she had on her gloves, she had this, she did that. I don't know if she got the COVID shot or not, but she said she got really sick anyway, and it could have been maybe because of close quarters, working inside the fast food place. You know, you see him work, you know, working close. So one big thing is just stay in prayer, really, and trust God. And I personally am learning myself too on you know, after all this time's gone by, I think everybody's figuring, okay, if you have on a good mask, you have a better chance of being safe, especially if you need to go somewhere, or if you have to go in somewhere. If you get, most definitely, if you go into the doctor's office, you know, the people already might be going there they're sick. But I feel good about the fact that if you put a mask on and if you try your best to, you know, to you know, I do my little diligence with sanitation, and if I touch something, well, if I have on gloves and I'm working and I'm going to the ATM, I wipe the ATM down, I got my gloves on. You know, I don't just use hand sanitizer. I got my little glove on. I wipe because everybody's touching the ATM button, so I just wipe it down and do what I do. That's all. And there, in other words, we learn how to live in these conditions where we can start going to do places. Now, one thing I want to say about Mr. Renee didn't stop work. Some of these people, like, you know, like Jasmine too, like she said, she goes to church. Some people just are troopers. I call them troopers and strong, but doing something right though, because I know Miss Renee, if she don't mind me saying it, she never stopped going to work. All this time she been going to work, you know. And I said, asked her, I said, well, when you go to work, what's how do you do what you do and stay safe? And it's what I think her hours were, it wasn't a lot of people, you know. But now she's still working and there's lots of people around. I guess you learn to keep a distance and will learn the math. So, you know, this is just a way of life that we can learn how to still uh,
I have to.
function and do the things that we need to do. When you're talking about work, it's something like you gotta, if you have to go to work, you gotta go to work. You know, it's just like you can say, well, I can't go sit down. So there's a lot of people that have to go to work because that's what they do. You know, that's what they need to do.
Yeah.
So it's a learning experience. You know, you just really can, like she said, you do what is good for your situation. You
Yes.
know,
And
and
I'm
I'm still.
thankful. Go
Mhm.
ahead. Go
No, I'm
ahead.
just saying I'm careful because I'm not just thinking about myself. I'm thinking about my other family members. You know, granddaughter, daughter, you, whatever. I'm thinking when people have had the survivors of any type of immune disease or whatever, then you know they want you to be super careful. Sometimes I be thinking their immune system is better than a lot of folks are supposed to be well, because these folks is, you know, they seem to get taken care of better when you know you got, you know, you take your vitamins. There's some things we was already doing all this before COVID came, you know, taking your vitamins, doing this and that, doing your exercise and all that. So the body, the human body is stronger than we think, especially if you try your best to take care of it. God made our bodies something else. We are, like the Bible said, fearfully and wonderfully made. That you know, for us to be able to recover, recoup, get well, heal, or not even, you know, be affected. So just if we just learn how to take care of ourselves. My plan, I have a plan. One day, soon. So everybody laughing at me. So I'm about to go to Dollar Tree. Now I remember the day. That's all we did. All up at Dollar Tree and this and that. Wasn't a second thought of it, you know. But
Yeah. I
that's the way
think
it is
that
now.
one of the things we should do, along with wearing the mask, is limit going out to these different events. And like, if you had to run errands, if you could just do one errand a day and not like try to do 10 things a day
Other
like you
places.
used to, because
Yeah.
that's just another place you can
Yeah.
contract something if you're going from place to place to place all day. If you
Right.
could just
Right.
go to maybe one place, maybe two, and go home, and then
Yeah. I
I
don't.
think it'll be a little bit better.
Yeah. I'm scared. I always been leery of crowds, always.
Me too.
Concerts, being at cons, I've always been leery of being in big crowds.
I know if I go to any big events, I would always leave early before it was over. Like, this look like this the last song. Let's leave before they finish, because this everybody gonna be trying to rush their way out and all that. So I always like to get out before the crowds really start coming out and try to like rush through. Yeah, it's a lot of crazy stuff that can happen in crowds, but that's like another that's like another story. But because of COVID, it's just another added element that you have to be careful about. But when it comes to some of these things going online, do you guys see any benefits from it? Are you I see some benefits as far as I still feel like there's a need for online church because there are people that have been bedridden that are sick. You know, we would always ask that you pray for those people during live service, but now they can actually see the service and still be a part of the service or listen in or something like that. We have people that may have. I was thinking about certain disorders where they don't like to leave their house. There are people that actually have disorders like that where they have phobias of leaving their house. A lot of the online options help them to be more active. They can go watch events on their screen, and they don't have to be completely left out. Again, disabled people that may not be able to go out and about to a lot of different places, they can participate in a lot of different events because it's online. So that's just some of the benefits I see, and as well as some of the overhead for some of these businesses, especially small businesses, it's a lot less expensive. They don't have to run here and there and all that because they have a online advantage now. It cuts costs down for certain industries. But I'm still very thankful for the frontliners. When at first the frontliners we saw as only the doctors and nurses, but later on we started to see it was the bus drivers, it's the people driving the Ubers and the lifts, it's the cleaning people, it's the people that's in the grocery stores running that, the fast food people. It was like it's a lot of people that
Yeah,
was,
a lot of people. Yeah, delivery.
and we needed all those people.
We
So
still need all those people.
yeah, we sure do.
Hmm. So we,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like some of the things that have happened as a result of COVID are here to stay. And I feel like, to be honest with you, there have been some and it's gonna sound weird, but I believe that if it wasn't for COVID, a lot of churches wouldn't have made the push to go online, and um, and I do feel like there's a whole shift coming in the way that we interact with the world, so
Mm.
if anything, you know, I believe that it's helped the church not be too far behind, you know. And I also believe that it's opened up some availability for jobs as well as because I got laid off in March, so it's been a lot of back and forth, and as picky as people, so it seemed like it's been a lot of like tit for tat. So if you remember, like I call this, like, the kings living lush on the throne period of the whole COVID thing, where people were
Mm.
getting unemployment and those absorbent amounts, and they weren't trying to work, and now there's a workforce full of people who are trying to work, but jobs aren't hiring. They're laying people off, and
Mm.
they're in a position now to where they could be very picky and choosy over who they hire. And not saying they shouldn't anyway, but it's a lot more stringent. And if anything, like Kroger's, they just opened up their own delivery service, because before they were doing it through Instacart, so they opened up a whole new division for that. And it's, I feel like it's going to be a lot more of that coming, as far as like new positions being opened as a result of the demand and trends that's been happening, like people not going to the store as much as they used to, or what have you, even a shift in streaming services. So, I feel like if anything, there'll be some benefits to come. And, to be honest with you, it's really just hard to say, because I don't believe we've really seen the ramifications of COVID, and how it's really altered what we knew of the world.
Amen.
Yeah. I like that online. The online to me, church is always there. Always. You could always reach out and get the word. If you have to get up and go to church, you be there on time because I hate missing any part of the word. But it's you have to get up and you have to go and you have to be there. But when it's online, it's always there for me. All I have to do is reach out.
Yeah, I noticed we were kind of already in this vein before COVID came, and things seemed like it said triple quadruple in a big way for what we do. With business, it depends on what business you're in, but a lot of businesses are doing well, or they found another way to do things. Some people have started businesses, and then I noticed people reach out to you when you can see people reaching out to you when if you're online doing church or whatever you're doing. People pop in. They like whatever you're doing, drama, church. Sometimes we have prayer. Then you have these people pop up. You don't even know them. They say, "Well, pray for me. Pray for me." So I do see a benefit, and you don't know who is watching. It's not even saying anything to you at all. There's just like there's watchers and listeners that they tune in when they get used to it. They listen all the time. And I know from doing media, like just the TV media, people they may not call you, but if you run into them, I've had people run into me and tell me, they said, "Well, your ministry kept me all through the winter. I didn't have a job. I didn't do this. I didn't do that." But they could. I don't know if they could get to church, but they saw it, And so that when I run into things like that, that lets me know that there's a lot of people watching, people being blessed, until they can get to the church, if they can go to church, or if they don't go to church. Either way, people's lives are being affected. And I do want to say now, from watching TikTok, I've learned a whole lot more because there's a lot of disabled people on TikTok. There's a lot of all kind of people on TikTok. You know, in a way, I think that online services is good for people to speak out. People talk about their problems. TikTok, it's almost like some therapeutic for a lot of people. Whatever situation they might be in, they're sharing it with people, and so that lets me see like, wow, I even people that you would think might be ashamed or been some people shame folks before how they look. They shame them if they have a disability. But these people, a lot of them on TikTok, they coming out with whatever disability they might have, or there's a lot of I'm gonna call them full and fabulous, triple full of fabulous people that's coming out, learn how not to be ashamed of who they are. So there's a lot of benefits.
Yeah, and I would
We're
hate
not gonna talk.
to miss church. If I miss it, I have to wait a whole week, you know.
Hmm. Yeah. So
Well, a lot. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I know we do have to close pretty soon because we do have Dr. Octavia coming up at 8 o'clock. I want to thank you, ladies, for coming on and talking with us about this. I feel like we could continue this conversation for a while, but I guess I'll let Miss London close us with the last words for tonight. Unless anybody else, does
I
anybody else have
want
anything they want
Miss
to chime in?
Jasmine. Let's Miss Jasmine do it. Can you do it, Miss Jasmine?
I will close out with the last words for tonight. Um,
Mm.
um, Above all things, love God. Um, Take care of yourselves and each other, in the words of Jerry Springer, and may the Lord keep you. And, may he shower you with the blessings of the Lord that makes rich and add no sorrow.
Amen.
Yes. We love you guys. We're praying
Love
for all of
you.
you guys. Prayers up. Thank you, ladies. Have a good
Thank
night.
you. Love
Right.
y'all. Bye.